Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave, for the dance party. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. This is session 2 of Shapes in the Dark. We last left our group of rogues on a windy hillside, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, being abducted by a vampire caravan. No idea where you've been spirited away to. But what you do know is it's still quite warm, remarkably for autumn. It's a little bit windy here. It's about 8, 9, maybe 11 mile an hour wind, and it's sometime before midday, so it's a little dusky currently with the lack of morning light. Fernaleus, would you describe your character for us?
Fernaleus, currently sitting in the back of a wagon, is covered in a.
You guys don't have the wagon anymore.
Oh,
let me pause you right there. You guys are just laying in the grass.
Okay, in that case, he is sitting up in the grass wearing his Gethite-style robes with his cloak probably pulled pretty tightly around him. Fairly tall fellow for a person of the Umbriad species, just shy of about 6 feet. Skin is very almost pearlescent white, with amber-colored eyes that can peek out from under his hood, and the right light seems to reflect it with red. His frame, as he stands up, might be referred to as gangly from the look he has underneath the robes, which of course still conceal most of his body type and such. Is built at the waist, and hanging from his shoulder, I hope, is a satchel.
Your bag is still there, yes.
That he normally carries his wax tablets, his stylus, and his few precious pieces of paper that he records his notes and such on. If he is still armed, he has a rather plain shield of wood and bronze, and a wickedly curved, somewhat large sword that is belted at his hip. He stands up and he's looking around because last he heard, his friend Tane was looking for his companion.
Which brings us to the image of the praying shaman Tane, just a few feet away, a little bit higher up on the hillside. Describe your character for us.
Tane is currently kneeling and still in the finishing stages of his ritual, his aspect of the horse. His broad shoulders of his sturdy frame are adorned with what you might imagine to be a woven horse-haired collar, sort of like a cowl, but without the hood. His hair is kind of blondish red. Why do I keep going back to that? Yeah,
deep strawberry blonde. I don't remember exactly what you had in my
sure.
notes.
Yeah, because of his heritage, and his beard is similarly, but his darkened eyes, naturally darkened eyes, striking with the lighter white skin. Okay, so his broadsword is on his hip, and his hand axe also on the other hip, as he is not even thinking of them at the moment, as he begins to he slowly ends the aspect, feeling somewhat calmed of the fact that he felt the spirit of his mare And as he begins to stand up slowly, he begins practicing self-control to bring himself back into control.
Make me a self-control test here.
So that is a total of an 18.
Remarkably, with the shock and trauma of your religious companion being separated from you, you're holding it together very well, to the surprise of your companions. Just a few feet to your left, the three of you on this hillside kind of make up a triangle. We come to the Dawn Fairfolk form of Amorous Thorn. Describe your character for us.
All right, so Thorn sits a little bit above 5 feet. That's about 5'3". Dressed in what looks to be basically woven fiber clothing. He's got a nice little feather cloak adorning his back, as well as a shield adorned from a snapping turtle shell. Upon that, along his waist sits an array of daggers. What is it called? A brace of daggers, I believe.
That'd be a good brace of daggers.
Yeah. He actually has 2 of those, one along each side, as well as his lute in hand. Because when this man is doing anything other than eating, drinking, or throwing a dagger, he is probably playing the music. So, his blue eyes kind of focus on his companions there for a couple moments. His skin kind of, glowing there in the sun as they stand and figure out where the heck they are at the moment. The song.
Go for it. Go for it. I was waiting for you to be on. Sorry.
The song currently coming out is the song of the Maiden from Maiden's Point. He did almost take a music change, though, when he saw Kane kind of having that inner turmoil there. So you kind of saw a little hitch. He took like a really long rest, or like the bridge just kind of got off kilter. But when he saw that Kane kind of got under control, he went back to the same song he was doing. After looking at his companions, he kind of looks out, gets a bearing on where they are. But at the moment, he is kind of just seeing where the next wave of adventure is going to take them.
I shouldn't make a bard make an awareness test regarding his instrument. You notice in the middle of this song, somewhere in the struggle or your transportation to this exact location, your G string has broke.
Oh, well, that's not good.
The G string. Make a sense here quick though while you're
like a what?
I get a danger sense as you're you've got the 2 pieces of that lute string in hand.
That's a 14.
It's a 14. Something about this place makes your skin crawl. You have the highest concentration of Fey blood in the party. Something about this place feels wrong. Not just like uncomfortable, but inherently wrong.
Okay. As the string breaks, he of course would be like any musician, and he will look down and just say, "What the hell? Take better care of you than this." So even with that sense of being wrong and being off, he is of course a artist first. So his instrument's well-being kind of comes ahead of his own at times. So after making sure they weren't in any immediate danger, he will reach into one of his bags and pull out a spare string and begin restringing the loot.
Attaboy. That'll take you a little bit. Make me I believe that would technically be woodworker. As that is a wood instrument, and you're tying off a string.
I also do have outfitter.
If you have outfitter, that's actually much better in this case. Thank you. I actually forgot that you normally take outfitters as a skill. Keith sometimes does too, but
Actually, I'm going to be taking an assessment of what supplies we currently have, because I have
That is
provision.
a 21 on an outfitter test.
oh yeah, you're able to replace that string, no issue, with on your instrument.
Amros actually has no true crafting skills, but he has the provisioning and outfitter to at least repair the little stuff.
So he can cook for at least himself and repair his own things. Attaboy.
So,
Yes.
so the quick assessment of what we have. I'm going to basically do a quick assessment of what, as far as like supplies we happen to have on us.
Mhm.
Now that Tane is done with his prayer, I'll sort of call the guys together and go through my stuff and see what I actually have on me, if I have any water on me still, or if I've been left any food or anything like that. My if my flask is still there.
That was the flask of blood, right?
Yes.
It is, but it is half empty by now.
Okay, so it's half empty. Okay.
Mhm.
Is that all I have on me then? No, nothing else of.
Did you guys take any food with you from the meat hall?
The meat hall?
That was the last time that your party ate. You don't necessarily feel hungry, so you can just assume that not a lot of time has passed, but just be mindful of it.
I probably stuffed a couple of like apples or something like that in my pouch. So I normally just sort of grab those things because a scholar, if you're in the middle of the night and you're writing, you tend to forget to actually get food. And
roll me a d8 and split it in half, round down. That's how many apples that you're able to purloin.
I rolled a 7, so I'll say I have 3. Yeah, maybe one mostly eaten. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. Does Tane have a habit of keeping, I don't know, raw onions or turnips on him?
I would say yes, and along with maybe bread, like a loaf of bread, if he can.
Okay. Shall we say half a loaf of bread and maybe a couple vegetables, maybe a couple fruits? Same thing for you. Roll a d8, split it in half, round down, and you basically pick what your travel food is. Rinse and repeat for Thorn as well.
Did me having a wild lore change that at all?
For now, no. Previously, you can obviously forage after we get out of the scene. But yeah, it's a supplement that.
Okay.
Your species is not omnivorous, though, by the way.
Right. Amros tends to survive off of the wild lore checks to just sustain from day to day. So
wild edibles.
What was that check again? 2d8
it's
divide by 2?
Yeah, 1d8 divide by 2. Round down.
3.
Okay. Just a mix
After being
of
rounded.
a couple days of, or just maybe a couple things of whatever your character would logically have. So between the three of you, you might have a day and a half's worth of rations. If you're fasting, maybe 2.
Well, gentlemen, we're not going to go very far on this. He looks around. Is there like any signs of settlement around by chance? Just be a word test, wouldn't it?
Awareness.
Okay.
Is there anyone that was with us, still with us?
It's just you 3.
So that's a 19 I rolled.
You do spy what looks to be a smallish village, like a thorp,
Okay.
some miles out. Keep in mind, you're kind of out on an open plain.
Yeah.
That kind of lopes. It's kind of hilly. It's got, from what you can see, there's a creek that goes between two big hills.
Okay.
That is maybe a couple miles away
Okay.
as the crow
Okay.
flies.
So would that be a traveling test to see if I figured out how far it was?
Yes, absolutely.
That is going to be a 15.
Yeah, you could get there in a few hours.
Okay, so, well, and I'll sort of look around to see if there's anything else out there, just in general, if there's anything nearby that I need to be aware of.
No. What exactly are you looking for? Like
Well, just
specifically?
Like if there are any animals nearby, maybe there's sheep or there's like the wagon tracks, a horse.
A horse? Yeah, a horse would
Yeah.
be lovely, wouldn't it? No. There's none of that actually.
Okay, all right. So I'll
As
turn
far
my,
as you're
my,
aware, this is wilderness. A few
I'll-
sparse trees and plain shrubs, but
I'll turn to my companion and say, I'm at your mercy, gentlemen. This is well outside of my experience. Although there is that Thorpe, maybe a few hours walk that way.
there's a small wispy column of smoke coming from there, so clearly it is being inhabited.
Well, it's a starting point at least.
Which direction did I feel the presence of my mare?
We'll see. Somewhere southwest of you.
Okay.
Which direction is the Thorpe?
South, almost directly south by southwest.
Well, should we go speak to the people in this Thorpe? Maybe they'll be able to tell us where we're at.
Good plan.
Works
my
for me.
shield and my shield and throw it across my back and turn that direction and start walking.
Start walking, gentlemen. Is Thorn going to be foraging for wild edibles on the way?
He can, yes.
Okay.
If something looks particularly promising,
He's not holding his breath, but he'll try.
yes.
Roll it. Oh, what? What is it?
Double eights.
Ah, shit! There you go. Attaboy. Attaboy.
And a potato field out in the middle of nowhere.
Boom, hero's feast. What?
What you kind of stumble on here is somewhat of a natural garden. You've got wild cucumbers, wild strawberries, maybe like a blueberry or a raspberry bush in there. But no animals or anything like that. But
Well, we have one vegetarian, so it's okay anyway.
right. The
He's like a
Viking
king.
who's playing a vegetarian. Oh,
That wasn't my idea.
hey,
There was
man.
divine intervention.
It was it divine intervention? Ah. Thou shalt only eat the holy vegetable. Anyway, a few hours past noon, you find yourself on the edge of this thorpe. Maybe a couple hundred yards out, you do see a shepherd tending his flock of sheep. Who he's standing on what looks to be kind of a run-down, overgrown dolmen, like a couple megaliths that were put into a what looks to be like a shelter, but the roof has
Okay.
since fallen through, and he's standing up on the top of it. He's armed, by the way. He is armed with a war bow. And he puts a warning shot down this road that you guys see, and it lands maybe 15 feet in front of you, stuck right into the earth. There's a
Hold my hands
call
up.
in the he speaks the Ebon tongue, but his accent is odd. And he hollers to you, "That'll be about close enough, you." As he knocks another arrow.
Hold the hands up. I look over at Thorn. He's our talking guy.
And now you need to swallow that strawberry you're eating.
I know, right? Yeah. No, yeah, I'll be just like Fern, put my hands up. We're simply lost, trying to find our way.
That's what the last couple brigands said as he bends the bow just a little bit more. You got a beat on you guys. You can start to feel the sweat.
Oh yeah. Well, what can we do to show that we're not here to rob you? Besides, turn around and walk away.
Oh, well, damn. Okay. He does not answer you. You can obviously tell he's sizing you up, and the gears are turning in his head. But
Fern is going to very slowly reach down to his sword with his right hand, because it's on his right hip. He'll draw it out straight and then drop it in front of him. Say, "How about that?"
he points at the other two with his chin and says nothing.
Dane dropped the weapon.
You can see from his vantage points that he narrows his eyes at you.
I'll reach over and I'll undo the belt and show the bracing of daggers and let it drop.
Okay, so Tane pulls his broadsword and then flips it and then plants it into the soil, and then pulls his axe out and kind of spins it, but the loop with the blade bit covered loops it over the handle.
Kind of hangs it there on the finger guard. Okay, yep. Is that going to satisfy him?
I'll pull my hood back and I'll say, "Sir, you see, we're only simple travelers."
Few oddly dressed travelers.
We're not from around
lower his
here.
arrow. I can tell.
In fact, we'd like to know where we're at. We seem to have been left here.
He ever so slowly lowers the arrow, and he just kind of like jerks his chin in the direction of the Thorpe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll reach down and pick up my blade and resheath it.
You actually go and pick up
Yes.
your set. Oh, he fucking shoots you.
Okay.
Make a defense test, Keith.
Okay.
Can I do a reflex test to see if I can try to knock it out of the air? It's a long shot, but
Test.
You can try.
16.
16.
Yes.
As you stoop,
Mhm.
he's gonna miss anyway, and the
Okay.
arrow is going to land. Like, had you moved a little bit farther, it would have gone through your hand and stapled you to the dirt.
Mhm.
And quick as a lightning, he knocks another arrow and he says, "That's no, we're not playing this game with bandits today."
Sir, please, we are not bandits.
That remains to be
We are
seen.
travelers. You seem to live in a place that has some serious troubles. Are there
Tell
not
me about it.
town guards? Are there not? Is there not any kind of protection here? I would think Farad would not travel to an area like this.
Do not speak the foul name of that vampire here.
Yes, well, he owes me an explanation. They are the ones who left us here, apparently as prey. I'm going to cross my arms and just stare at the fellow.
Mm-hmm.
I was not reaching for the sword or anything, but
Just
arms are crossed. I'm just going to stand there and look at him.
I'm going to put my hands out like this, and I'm going to yell to him. I say, "Sir, I have learned that it is one thing to kill in battle, to send a brave man's soul to the corpse hall of the gods, but quite another to take a helpless man's life. In this instance, you have us at a disadvantage. Now, as a shaman of Agiyun, I have no intention of doing anything to harm you, your livestock, or your thorp. We are simply trying to help. Now, if you give us the opportunity to assist you, we could actually provide you with some offering of skill. Now, I mean it when I say that me and my friends, myself Tane, my friend Thorn, and my other friend Fern, mean no harm to you unless this onslaught continues. I am not making a threat to you. I just assure you that we will protect ourselves if this goes further. Are we at an accord?"
make a persuasion test, Dave.
Since I'm not trained in persuasion, that's spirit, right?
That is spirit based.
Okay.
By the way, Dave, that you can take yourself a point of inspiration for that.
You're so kind. And I have to say that, thank you, Mike, because the love is passing on. I just double ate as well. So
Oh
just
yes!
explode, right?
There we go. Automatic
Technically,
success,
yes,
actually.
it does explode, but you don't have to. There's nothing in the guidebook, and I'll never say you don't stop. But
Well, I have a +1 on my sight, so
yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. He shit.
Payne is in this situation where he's very solemn and he's very serious right now, but he's not threatening.
Okay.
He's not fucking around though.
I mean, you very eloquently and very diplomatically just proved that. He. Ooh. Okay. What exactly else? He. You see the gears turning in his head, and he just kind of lets off this. All right. And he just lowers the arrow. He doesn't put it away. He obviously he's very leery of you guys. For the sake of the babushka, I will bring your weapons to you later. You have my word. And he puts his bow hand with an arrow under his index finger. On the holy mane of Agiyun do I swear I shall bring your weapons to you when she is finished with you. I have spoken.
Does he seem solemn in his statement?
Make a premonition test.
Okay. So that is a total of a 9.
He's very leery of you, but he seems truthful enough.
I hold my hands up still and I say, allow me to clean my blade and put it back in its protective sheath.
Should I let you enter our village armed, I would never hear the end of it.
All I'm saying is I will hand it over, but I will put it into my sheath.
That's
And then
reasonable.
I begin lifting it up and wiping the sand, the soil off of it, and then return it to home. And after I hand it over, I'm kind of holding my horse fetish in my hand because it's, I'm very leery about everything right now.
Oh, well, I would be shocked if you weren't.
Yeah, Fernandez is going to take his sheath off of his belt, and he'll make sure that the blade is sheathed, and he'll go a little bit further and actually pull a cord that he carries just for this purpose. He'll actually tie the cord around the blade to secure it into the sheath and lay it on top of or next to Tane's. And I'll look over at Tane and say, hopefully he's one of the worshippers of your god, and if so, then that blade was given to me by Nephthys, so if it disappears, it will be a great loss. We'll step back.
He just points down the road to the village, which you see there's a few dozen people out and about. I mean, you've got what look like sentinels that are armed at the edge of this village. The village itself kind of has a high... It's a poor excuse for a palisade, but it's a big fence that's what a palisade is, but they're trying to fortify this place.
It'll probably keep out some like wandering animals of the forest, but not a determined attack is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, no, it'll to anyone who wants to get in, who has a predatory mind or is cunning, this isn't going to stop anybody.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'll look at my companions and walk that way. He will pull out one of his tablets and his stylus and start taking notes of the sort of the look of the place.
It not for nothing, Keith. It's compared to what Fern is used to. It's podunk as shit. These poor things live out in the middle of BFE.
Yeah, Fern's probably been to a few of the outlying villages and such out in the forest and such around the Ebon Vale, but yeah, he's never actually been beyond the Ebon Vale. So,
this is very similar to my home, except my home's at a higher elevation. It's a small settlement.
I mean, despite the recent trauma, I mean, Tane might find a familiar comfort, but it's hardly the story right now.
Right.
But the highest, I suppose, technology that they have is they have a fucking well. And that's where you guys can meet.
Maybe they have a wheel too.
But their well is kind of like a big, wide affair that has like a crane that you can dip into it. There's a big ass bucket. It's about advanced as it possibly gets. These are mud daub and straw homes with thatched roofs, so it keeps you warm in the winter, but and it keeps you dry when it rains. but there's, like I said, maybe several dozen people total that live here. Maybe their local militia, if you can call it that, is 20 dudes tops, including the ranger that you saw out on the rock. But so yeah, you guys are standing in what counts as their city square, or their village square, which is the well.
Do they appear to be Ebon folk?
Strangely enough, they are a mix of maybe like 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 human cultures. They're not entirely Ebon folk. Maybe
Start
like
noting the differences.
some people have gray eyes, some other people have blue, brown, green, hazel. Their hair is tawny. They could be blonde. Or brunette. You do, however, see the faint or not traces of the Nemersian freckle in there.
Okay. So
But
very interesting mix.
one person that you do see, and you do recognize her, is Fita. She was the Nemersian girl that you had met back in the caravan, and she looks like the only one who's a pure blood of her people.
I'll wave at her, Fita.
And she smiles, but then sees you, the 3 of you, and then she was excited, but she's like, oh, and then kind of like goes back to tanning a horse hide on a tan.
Do a premonition test on her real quick.
It does not look like yours, Dave.
That's going to be a 17 on premonition.
Um,
Did that look like fear, or was it disappointment, embarrassment?
Like, oh crap, they're still alive. Crap.
Yeah.
Embarrassment, actually, we'll say.
Okay. All right.
Maybe a little bit of fear, but
Okay.
mostly she's a little bit embarrassed. She does blush a little bit. Her dark, swarthy olive skin kind of turns a shade darker.
I'll just instinctively note that on my tablet, and then probably go to a different tablet and close that one up so it's sealed and grab another one. I usually keep about 3 of them at any given time.
Yeah, you're filling those things up. You're gonna need to switch out to like
That's
book.
Yeah, that's what I say. What I'll do is at the end of the day, I'll figure out what I think is important, put it on paper, writing as small as possible, so I can then I'll erase the wax tablets. So
Okay.
but yeah, so I do that and look over at my 2 companions and sort of throw my hands like, I don't know what to do now. I'm not very good of I don't know. I'm sort of out of my element here. Do either of you know these people? They've seen.
You're out of your element here? You're out of your element here?
Yes.
This was your idea, after all, Fern. The 3 of us are on this wild goose chase, and you're out of your element.
Fern's shoulders sort of slumped. He said, "Yes, I did get you into this. You're correct."
No, I made a choice, and I came of my own free will, but you're on my road apple list.
That's fair. I'll see what I can
Is
do.
that
about
ranger
getting
still
this-
around?
About 15 minutes later, while you 2 are, basically 3 of you are squabbling, he brings his flock of some 30 sheep and goats in, and he like deposits them in a pen a good few dozen feet off to your left, and a troop of, I'll say, 8 of their warriors with an ancient mixed race woman, as well as that ranger. The ranger comes up to you first and says, "Well, this is home," as he turns, and then that troop of the old lady comes up.
At the tail end of that, of the the browbeating that Tane delivers, which Fern just sort of sits there and takes because he does understand it is his fault. That he's caused Tane to lose his companion. He's brought Thorn to a place that he probably has never been to. And this fellow says that he's like, "Thank you very much for allowing us into your home." His earlier haughtiness is completely gone now, and he says it was very kind of you to allow us to come in. And I do apologize for my earlier bravado. So you said we're going to meet your Babushka. He looks over at the older lady.
The ranger kind of narrows his eyes at you as you speak, and then he looks to the babushka, and he says a few words in a language you don't understand, and then she narrows her eyes at you, and she kind of like, she's not cane, she kind of like hobbles over, almost Yoda style, and then she reaches up. This bandy-legged old lady reaches up, grabs you by like the collar. She's hunched over. She brings you down, and then she grabs your face. She like pushes your teeth up, your lip up.
I show her what she's obviously looking for. Yes. Yeah.
And then she hisses at you. She's like, ass! She smacks you across the face. She hits you hard. It knocks you on your ass, and she goes, cursed creature.
Okay, I'll sort of like struggle back a little on one arm, and I mean you no harm. I'm not here to cause trouble. If I need to leave, I will. But please help my friends. We don't know where we are.
Who brought you three? She kind of rasps at you.
I look at the ranger, and I say, "Should I say?" And I ask him, sort of looking at him as a question. Should I say?
The ranger, the shepherd, turns to her. He translates for you, and something to the tune, basically, all the vampires brought him, or brought them. And she kind of gets this look that's not quite relief, but there's some disgust on there. But then after a moment, she rolls her eyes, and then she says, "More mouths to feed."
I'll not be a problem. Just I can. I if need be, I'll let these two stay with you. If I'm going to cause a problem, I cannot. If I cannot stay in your village, I will go. He sort of gets up, sort of holds his face.
Okay.
I know my line is cursed. I understand.
Friday, if I'm gonna make it.
You need blood, don't you?
I brought my own.
Yes, but if you're going to be staying with us for any length of time, that's going to run out. You can hear the disgust in her voice. You can have a sheep. One sheep.
Yeah.
That will be more than enough for a month.
That's how much time you have here. As soon as that sheep is gone, she just points down the road. Not the direction that you came, but through.
Tane steps forward and politely offers, "Blessed babushka, we mean no ill will, and we are capable, the three of us. We can offer assistance and providing for our stay. Is this not true?" I look at my friends sort of. And as such, we all know that life is like a wild horse. And I kind of offer the first phrase to see if she knows the response. It's more of like a Agun phrase to see if what she's going to say.
Right.
I put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, I got you. I see it.
Okay.
Well, no, yeah.
And I just kind of let it hang there.
Yeah, she replies to you. Sometimes you ride life, or life rides you.
Yes. And as such, we are unfortunately on this wild ride, and it seems that all of us are in this unfortunate situation. Us have been thrust upon you. What might we do to prove our worth for the time being? I'm not sure what assistance we might provide. I am very good with horses. My friend Thorn here is very good with his words, and can entertain the hell out of people. And my friend Fern, well, he can teach you to read.
She glares at him. I know how to read.
Teach your people. Help your people. That's what I meant. I had no inkling that you had shortcomings in that area.
She kind of hangs on your words for a few moments, and then she doesn't say much beyond that to her companions. You have no idea what language that they're speaking, but it sounds alien and kind of rolling the R's. But one of the older looking warriors, silver sideburned, kind of like salt and pepper bearded man, kind of like points off to one of the more run down looking huts. And the Babushka says, "You can have that hut here."
Fernleas looks at it and he gets a really pitiful look on his face, like, there? But he doesn't say anything. He just sort of looks and for a moment sort of nods and looks back and says, "You're very kind."
Yes, this will do well. Thank you.
The shepherd has at this time has dismissed himself, and he comes back with, and this is probably
A
gonna
sheep.
no, he's gonna stab the feels of the party. He comes back with a lamb. And he just hands it to Fernaleus.
He takes it sort of tentatively and says, "Thank you." Starts petting it.
It bleats at you, adorable-like,
I know.
adorably. And he looks at you and he levels you with those icy gray eyes, and he says, "You had better be humane, leech."
He sort of nods his head. And, yes.
And the Babushka will have nothing more of you.
Okay. I'll
Her
take
and-
my little lamb and go to my hut, sort of sit it down, and go over in the corner and sort of wrap myself in my cloak and just sort of sit there in my misery. Throw the hood up. So,
And that's how you make a Dampier character feel small. Now, as you
You got to be careful where you're putting your lips, friend. Seriously. You got to stop sucking on everything.
I will.
the poor little lamb bleats in the corner.
And after Tane says that, he kind of punches him in the shoulder, kind of playfully, like, "It was my choice. I came willingly. I'm sorry that I cut you with my words."
I deserved it, though. He reaches out and strokes the lamb. Damn thing probably comes up and curls up next to him for his body heat. He's like, "Shit."
Well, you know what? Just 'cause, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Please, do not rut with that thing.
I have no interest in doing that.
Good.
She's not of age.
Yeah. Depends on where you're from.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're not going there. Well done.
Not my tribe, nor my herd.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, all right. I didn't know that you were Welsh. Oh, heyo. Excuse me. That's mostly shitting on me. Okay. The tension of this tiny village kind of like dissipates as you guys kind of retreat to your shack. This thing has like one of the corners. It's kind of like it's like a square building, but it's so run down. Basically, it's a circular thing with maybe like a quarter of the wall that's just kind of like drooping down to maybe like knee high. And they maybe like a tree fell on it. You kind of assume some of the thatch roof is gone. Has not been used in some time. There are no sleeping furs or any other furniture in there. There is a copper, what looks to be a small like cauldron that might feed 2 people if it's got stew in it. The thing is horribly oxidized, and there's actually a word for it, but the bit that you hang the pot on that goes over the fireplace, it's like the pole there. That's still there. There is
The spit?
Yes, thank you.
Well, the spit.
The spit's which you turn the animal on.
But the loop kind of thing, yeah.
Yes,
there's a term for it, but loop will work.
Right.
But I get where you're going with that thorn too.
There is a copper, a buck knife in there, a fillet knife that is snapped off. Actually, the top half of the blade is snapped. Almost looks like a chisel right now. And hell, a copper spoon. That's all you got in there.
What the fuck did this guy do to us?
By the way, it's actually called either a trivet or a gridiron.
I suppose, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Keith. We'll say the gridiron for now. As it starts to rain, if I can make the situation a little bit more miserable.
Fred is going to sit there while the water drips on top of his hood and just look miserable while he pets his new lamb.
Well, the lamb actually leaves you because it doesn't want to be rained on, and it actually
he feels worse because of that.
It pitifully bleats and then walks over to stumbles over to Tane, as he has the animal connection of the party, and then curls up at his feet.
So what was the original intent of our journey?
He was asking us to go with him to the place where he was taking all of the young ladies and had some workforce there, apparently. But at this point, I would say that contract is definitely null and void.
Feels like it. Well, I think we need to shore up the structure for the time being, and then find a way that we can help this community. What do you
Well,
think?
if you will put your back to that, he goes up for last where he drags himself from underneath the dripping water and shakes his head a bit. He says, I might as well put this drip to use, and goes over and gets the cover pot. And is there any sand nearby? A little patch of sand?
Well, yeah, we'll say it's dark sand. It's not like beach sand here.
He'll go pick up a hand scoop that sand, put it inside the pot, and go over, get a little water in there, and start scrubbing it.
All right, yep.
So
I figure that's what
I
you're
would
doing.
I would assume with provisioning, he would understand how to actually clean the pot. So once it's clean enough, he'll go busy himself building a fire and basically trying to put dinner together with what we have.
Okay. While Tane is seeing to the structural integrity of your new home, Thorn, that falls to you. Take it away, my man.
Well, I have one that's slumped in depression right now, and the other one trying to shore up things. So I don't think provisioning or outfitter will help with the actual state of the house, correct?
No, that would be an architecture test or woodworker.
I don't think I have either one of those. No, I don't have either one of those. I'm actually going to leave the hut.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have either the babushka, the ranger, or even the shepherd anywhere close by?
You do see a group of rangers, those warriors that were there before. The shepherd is tending to his flock, and the babushka is you see her going into what seems like one of the larger tents. I mean huts. There you go. Fita
I'm not
is
going to
still
bug her
slaving over that hide.
I'm not going to go with the babushka because I don't know whose place that is. We have not been invited in, so
Right.
that's not going to work. I will actually go up to the group of rangers then. I will keep track of where, what was her name again, Fita? You're muted there, Rafe.
Yes, Fita. F-E-E-T-A.
Okay. Yeah, I will keep track of where she is because I'm going to try to talk to her in a moment, but I will go up to the group of rangers slowly, hand out slightly. That way they don't think I'm going to try to come up and stab one of them or something.
Right.
And I'll just kind of be outright with whichever one looks at me first, or whichever one seems to be more in the lead, so to speak.
The oldest one there, yeah.
Right.
He looks to be like a mortal. He's Nemercian descent. He looks to be about 50 cycles old.
Young kids these days.
Right.
No, I'll just go up and say, so besides the obvious dangers of people you do not wish to have named anymore, is there anything else plaguing this village that we could help with to at least earn our keep here a little bit?
You're of the fairies, are you not?
Yes.
Well, he kind of like takes your slight form in. What are you good at?
Me or the group as a whole?
You are the only one standing before me, so we'll start with you.
Fair enough. The other two are busy trying to do other things at the moment. For the most part, I am good at song. I am good at tending to animals. I am good at taming wild animals. And I have a little bit of finessing with things such as knots, tracking, and the like.
So you have good eyes?
Yes.
Then you might watch the walls with us tonight. Can you see
All right.
in the dark like the other fairies?
Can Dawnfair folks see in the dark?
Well, you are Fae. It's better than most, but your race particularly isn't the greatest at seeing in the dark. However, you know that Umbriads see in the dark perfectly as if it was daytime.
Well, so I actually had to ask that there because the book with the Dawnfair folks does not say anything about their eyesight for that. So I had to
Right.
get verification.
You're fine.
I'll look.
You're fine.
I'll look at him and say, I can see fairly well. I do know someone who's better at it than I am, though.
Oh.
Yes. My friend
Not
back
that
there in the
leech,
hut.
is it?
Yeah, he's really not that bad of a guy, and he did not choose to be what he is. It sucks when your parents make you an experiment and kind of force it upon you.
He just kind of like looks at you with this "that shit happens" look. he's clearly podunk as shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's like, you just said something that he couldn't possibly conceive of. So.
Can't fathom? Yes.
Wait, no, that's not a thing. He doesn't say anything. He just looks at you funny.
and I almost just look at him and just say, yes, that really happened. Yes.
And he just kind of looks at and like he looks at his fellows with this, with kind
tell
of
you what, if you
look in his eye.
Tell you what, if you don't, well, I know you guys don't trust him in any way, shape, or form yet. That much is a given. How about we both watch the wall tonight, and I will keep an eye on him. That way, if he does pull anything, he has to go through me first. And if for some reason he gets through me, I get the feeling you're going to load both of us up with arrows beforehand anyway.
Are people of your kind trustworthy? As a whole.
I mean, is any race really trustworthy?
Some more than others.
Well, I've had my share of heartache and I've had my share of being stabbed in the back. But by the same token, I trusted you enough to not shoot us when we were unarmed now, didn't I?
That wasn't me. That was Torin over there with the sheep.
You get my point, though. You guys easily still could have loaded us full of arrows, even when we laid down our weapons, and not given us any chance whatsoever. I still gave a chance. We are still without weapons. And if need be, I'm sure you guys could put us down immediately if we did not fit what you wanted us to be. And if we get snatched off the wall, I guess that's just, one less enemy to make, correct?
You must forgive us. There are more enemies in these lands than friends.
I kind of got that feeling. Hence why I'm asking if we can help.
I will trust you both.
I appreciate that. Oh, out of curiosity, though, have you guys seen a horse come running through in the past day? Would have had barding and a saddle and everything, but no rider?
No. All the horses, if they be wild, are more or less taken by now, but and horses are quite hard to come by in these places. If one has a horse, it's often stolen if it's unattended to.
And then I will ask you to forgive my friend Tane, as his horse was taken from him, and he is a bit distraught now.
Hmm.
And if anyone does happen to see a horse with Bardeen in saddle, can you please let us know?
I will tell some of our outriders to keep an eye open for an unclaimed steed.
I appreciate that. What time does the watch begin? Or what time do you want us to start our watch? Let me put it that way.
We will come for you when the shift changes.
Okay. Is there anything else we can do in the meantime? Unfortunately, idle hands kind of make everyone's mind wander.
Take your odd friend down to the river and bring some water up for the well.
Okay.
He points to a couple buckets nearby.
Okay. With that, Thorn will give a small bow, and he'll go and grab the buckets. And he'll go back and get Fern.
This entire time, the lamb, that adorable little baby sheep, is following Tane around as with a lost puppy, as he's assessing the your foul structure at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I would imagine that Tane is just he's kind of used to it, so he's kind of giving the little creature attention every now and again in between what he's working on. So
Fernless has an 18 provisioning to basically get a little fire going inside, and
That's wild lore to start a fire.
oh well, darn it, he's not doing a good job of straight up fire. So
You are
in that
wasting
case-
fuel, is what you're doing.
let's see. Wild lore is based off of cunning, right?
Sight,
Sight.
not sight. Spirit. Wow.
Spirit. Okay, spirit.
Wow.
Okay.
God damn. God, I
Need
see.
help?
Minus 4. It's
what
still
are you
got-
struggling with over there?
I'm trying to disrupt the fire.
Can I go
You didn't
assist you?
start the fire.
You can assist him, which means probably push him out of the way. Stop this.
Yeah,
You're
I'll
ruining it.
I'll
and
step
just
back. I'll
take it.
probably have like a mound of wood tightly packed together and trying to strike a spark off of something that's just not working.
And it's too wet, so it's
Yeah.
doubly wrong.
So we'll sort of step back. He has a nice clean pot though.
Right?
It's good. And I get a 10, so it probably takes me a little bit, probably because of the moisture in the
Yeah.
air.
It takes you a little bit, but yeah. Little bit as in it takes you about a half hour, 40 minutes to do it.
There's a lot of wet wood here. That's what
Thorn will come
he
back in
said.
right now
Okay. Yeah. As he's starting the fire.
with 2 buckets. Yes, the smoke comes in and he starts a fire. You burn the place down. Now you're homeless. Thorn, take it away.
Again.
Fern, we got a job to do.
Okay.
Actually, we have 2 jobs to do today.
Wonderful. Jobs are good. Are a good thing to keep the mind occupied. He goes over, picks the pot up where the water was dripping down to partially fill it, and hangs it over the fire and start boiling. He says, "Okay, what do we have to do?"
We need to go down to the well and gather water. Yes, I know it kind of sounds redundant, especially at the moment.
That's okay.
And second, we have been voluntold for the night watch to man the wall.
Actually makes sense.
I was hoping we could get them to relieve their hatred a little bit of you. So
All right. Very well. He'll go over and take the buckets and show me the way.
all right. Kane, you doing okay?
He's
All
kind
as
of
good as
sitting
you
there
can be anyway.
scratching the head of this animal, and he looks up and he just gives you a half smile and he says,
Still the well, yeah.
"The storm will pass."
I did talk to one of the rangers. They are going to have all of their riders keeping an eye out for your horse.
Thank you, my friend.
With that, he will turn and start going toward the river.
You did spy that creek on the way here, so you know where back to go to backtrack. The shepherd that you originally met, you meet him coming. He's left the village and he's coming back as you guys are passing each other, and he just kind of gives you a two-finger wave as he passes you.
I'll give him a slight nod as we go by and go down there and fill each bucket and carry them back up. And do this till the well is full.
Yeah, you go ahead and you fill your buckets up. You come back and you look down into this well. Obviously, you kind of get that. Why are we filling a well with water when it has water from clearly an underground source? And these people are watching you while you're doing it. And they're just like, all right. And Torin, the shepherd, just kind of leaning on the wall of this well here. And you pour that in. That's all right. So you do work.
Yeah. Thorn kind of realized it wasn't an actual job that needed to be done, but just are they capable of helping or not?
So you can do that as kind of like the collective, of the village. Fita, however, she's still working on that horse hide. The babushka comes out on what would pass for her front porch. She's standing on a rug that's like a horsehair woven rug out in front of her her hut there, and she just kind of looks on at you two, not glaring, she's just sizing you two up.
Okay. Well, once I pour the water in there, I'll look around at the other fellows there. They got the buckets, head back to the creek.
Oh,
I wasn't told to stop.
okay. So you'll do that for a couple passes, but you'll come back down to the river. We're gonna say on the fourth trip. There is actually make me an awareness test. It's you. All right, let me before we go. Is Fernaleus alone, or is Thorn gone back with him?
No, I was walking with them each time. We were doing it together. So.
All right. Awareness test for the both of you then.
All right, there's going to be a 17 for me.
Oh God, I exploded twice.
Ooh, yeah.
16, 26. That's a 30.
Nice. Well done.
Sorry, 32 actually. My bad.
Fantastic. You both.
That black die loves me today.
Good. You're gonna need it here soon.
Yeah, right.
There's an apparition in the trees across the creek from you. This horrible looking beggar of an entity. Its skin is kind of pockmarked to it, and it's kind of like grave, pale things wearing rags. They clearly have seen better days, and its hair is long and matted. And to your shock, and apparently some horror and dismay, it's got mushrooms growing from its skin, like some of those those
Myconid
that grow on trees that are kind of like half circle.
Yeah.
It's got like a tier of them, like three, like up its face, and it kind of reeks of this damp earth and the grave, and it just stands there, its red eyes staring at you from the underbrush. It's kind of like half over. Its fingernails are long and jagged and black. The thing is crying like black inky tears.
Would that be a lore test, a shadow lore test to figure out what that is, or would it be a cult insight?
Well, being as you can tell that it does have the signs of corruption, you can roll shadow lore.
Not quite rolled a double 8 yet. But
Come on, Keith. We
That
need
is
a
going
crit
to
so you can
be
have a
a-
full array of crits.
that'd be nice. Not quite. It is going to be a 24, though, my shadow lore test, though. No, I'm sorry, 23. 23.
Am I making the shadow lore test too?
You can make shadow lore or occult insight, your choosing.
Well, shadow lore would just be a lore test, but just of shadow, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do that then, because that's higher.
Okay.
26.
Okay. Fernaleus, I mean, as he's the only one who actually had the conversation thus far, you hear in the back of your mind, Farad's voice rasp, "Yes, I staked it out on a rooftop with its head cut off for the sun." And you have this moment of wide-eyed horror as falls into place.
And he'll say, Ragman.
Yep.
That's what Farad called it.
Well, shit.
It's just staring at you.
Thorn,
Just
I wouldn't run, but we might want to go back to the village.
So just do that whole, like, slow backwards walk thing.
might do. It might do.
Start walking back up to the village.
You guys are obviously keeping your eyes on this thing, right?
Yes.
Right? Yep.
Yes. We're not turning our back to it. Yeah, we're not gonna run.
You take a few steps back. It kind of like shambles forward a step.
Okay. Go. I guess I probably need to make a self-control check for that, right?
Yeah. It
It freaks me out enough.
It's gonna.
You want a double 8, Trace?
Did you roll a crit?
Double 8 on the self-control
Nice.
roll.
Oh, nice. Bonus XP. Awesome. For a full array of crits per
Self-control
session.
bit off his sight.
That's the whole table, too. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you crit. This the thing is just something shambling, horrible thing
Mhm.
out of a nightmare. You take a couple steps back, it shambles forward until it gets to the creek, and it splish splashes a little bit of its like the pads of its foot into the creek,
Mhm.
and it quick looks down and then takes a step back.
Okay.
And then it
Oh, that's good to know.
rasps something at you
Mhm.
that, like, it's trying to talk, but somehow it can't.
Okay.
And the what is even more terrible is it does this.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a come here, but clawed hands.
So I'll sort of just very sort of slightly shake my head, and at seeing it stop at the river, I'll sort of start moving a little faster. Not running, but definitely not like moving slowly at this point. Maybe make it to the village.
It at this point it actually it flashes its fangs at you, which are black. It just
Wonderful.
opens
Yay.
this maw, and it's just a black fucking hole of death in there.
Okay. Yeah. Don't need to buy that. Nope. That looks bad.
It's got
That
some
looks
like
it
some
will leave
inky
a
black
mark.
drool that just kind of like meets out over its fucking lip.
Could be venomous. So, but yeah, heading up to at this point, yeah. sort of not running, but definitely not walking slowly. So,
Speed walking, almost
speed
bordering
walking,
jogging.
sort of that straight back, arms to the side, walking over my shoulder, like no. So,
As soon as you guys get back to city limits, the edge
Mhm.
of the village, I need you guys to make a corruption defense test, please.
Where's a corruption defense test?
It's sight. It's a sight roll.
Sight roll.
2d8 sight, your level. Basically, your life force is what that would be.
24.
21.
Well, shit.
I had Ned
Okay.
explode on me.
All right, I suppose. You're despite that nightmarish encounter, you are able to stave off the corruption.
As soon as I see the guys there, I'm going to say Ragman.
It's just like Ragman.
Long claws, I point at the teeth, bigger than mine, black, mushrooms, down by the river.
So they kind of just, that's a vampire.
This is worse.
Yeah, this is much worse than a vampire.
Torin, one of the warriors at the gate, he literally gapes at you and says, "What's worse than a vampire?"
That thing. I've seen vampires.
feral
That thing's
one.
worse. Well, I look over at Thorne and said, it makes sense they'd be feral here, wouldn't it? Would it though? I mean,
And that's what it looked like to me.
if the Ragman in Felport live in the streets and subsist like beasts, maybe that's the same thing here.
You think they just fell to the shadow completely and that's what happened?
Could be. So, at that point, Fernlius goes into scholarly mode. I start speculating about the fact that maybe it was at one point a vampire similar to, and he says the word because he forgets that he's not supposed to say the word. And he says, it's very possible that, Farad's eventually might turn into that kind of thing once he follows his tail completely, blah, blah. And yeah.
They just look on in like horror at all this nerd shit coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm having a nerdgasm. So,
They are still stuck on what's worse than a vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the most interesting thing that has ever been said in their lives.
so yeah.
They go, well, you should tell the babushka that there was a
Yes.
vampire down at the river.
Okay. He turns and heads from the Bush's home.
She's still standing out there,
Okay.
surveying her land, if you will.
He walks up and starts to step on her porch or whatever it is it's out that she's staying on. He stops. Make him hold on. See if he actually. That's a 10 in cunning. He stops before he sets foot there. He has his foot up and he sort of rocks back and puts his foot down and says, "There's a vampire down by the river that has black fangs and is apparently fully shadow corrupted and it has mushrooms growing on it. I was told to tell you this. We have those back in Felport. We call them ragmen, but they live in the gutters. But I don't think they have mushrooms on them."
With a 3 on her cunning, she asks you what a gutter is.
Fernlius looks around and he says, and he's looking for something to give him context. Realize there's not anything to give him context.
Yeah, they don't know what a sewer is.
And he's like, "It's a place in larger cities where we toss our waste, so it doesn't build up in our homes,
Hmm.
and the rain washes it away."
I see. Well, if you are going to be helping the warriors watch the fence tonight, I suggest you light 2 more torches than there would normally be.
He starts to say that he doesn't know how to start a fire, but he says, "I'll make that happen." because he thinks, oh yeah, Tane knows how to do that.
And then she kind of softens and becomes a grandma there for a few moments, and she says, "Have you eaten?"
I have not.
I wasn't talking to you. You have a sheep.
No, I have not. So I did gather some stuff on the walk here.
Then you should come inside and have something to eat.
Fernandez just sort of stands there and he nods and he turns and walks toward the back over to his their little hut there where he left Tane tending the fire and putting together building the shelter up. And he'll walk in, start
I
flat
didn't
as
say
knife.
that you could leave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that if you were going to speak with Thorn alone with food, I would. He turns around, just sort of crosses. He holds his hands together in front of him. He just sort of stands there as he's been taught as a student to listen to his teacher.
She kind of thinks better of it. When she goes inside, brings you out to wooden bowls, and hands them to you, which is probably like a mutton vegetable mash stew she's got going on. It's closer to soup at this point. And she, the babushka takes out a dagger, a long, slender, curved dagger, a fey iron, actually. And she like sets down one of these bowls, and she can like folds up her wool.
Fernandez holds his
sleeve.
hands up and says, "You don't have to do that." And he reaches into his pouch and pulls out his little flask. I brought some myself, but thank you for the offer. And he opens up it a little bit. He just pours just a very small few drops over the food and closes it and puts it back. I said, I prefer not to have the blood of people.
Which is an obvious lie. Anyway,
Mhm.
you see.
Well, he's actually sort of freaked out about the whole situation earlier. At this point.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, that was the whole dream at the end of the last episode.
right.
So-
No, I'm giving you a hard time, Keith. I apologize. You do see, however, on her forearm,
Mhm.
she's got bite marks that have scarred over. Let that sink in.
He does. So
So she puts her fey iron dagger away, and she just kind of puts her sleeve back, and she goes inside.
he,
And you see,
Fernandez will eat the food greedily. Feeling bad once he gets to the bottom because he didn't save any for Tane. Then he realizes that there's actually not any. There was meat and stuff in here, and they probably like a blood taste anyway. And then he actually goes over and cleans the wooden bowl and places it back at the edge of the over enclosure area, and then turns around and heads back over to that.
on your way back to your shrine. Actually, not your shrine. Yeah, there is a shrine.
It's probably a shrine now because Dane's been left alone for a few minutes.
Well, yeah, it's probably got a
Right.
big ass carving of a gorgeous looking horse up out front. Yeah, I'm gonna turn this into a temple of Agun here soon. But no, you go back to your hovel, and you see a shrine, kind of like what would be kind of like a country road shrine, but it has three effigies in there. Effigies to the gods Agun, which is a small carving of a wooden horse, almost in the Scythian fashion, or it's not Scythian, Scythian fashion. there is a chunk of bark, a large chunk of bark from an oak tree, which I will not make you roll for it. It's that is normally used as an effigy or a symbol of the god Azeroth, and a small wood carving statue of a man, almost like he's like wearing a cloak that's actually pulled around him, that wears a long war sword. Many more civilized cities would call that a great sword or a two-handed sword across his back. And this, he's wearing a hood, almost to obscure his features. This is an effigy to the god of fear, Kendrick. Kind of gives you a like a portal into the mind of these people.
Okay, I'll pause for a moment and notice that and sort of nod and head back inside to where Tane is, and I'll proceed to make Tane dinner because he hasn't been fed yet. I'll pull one of the apples out, get one of his turnips and a few of the herbs and such that were collected, and try to make him at least a passable, decent vegetable and a little bit of a stew. The apples for flavor.
I'm gonna say we have all the pickup from that garden on the way through too. So.
Cucumbers and berries. What has Tane been doing for the past, we're gonna say, about past 4 hours? It's getting on close to dusk at this point.
Well, I would imagine that after he tried to do with the best he could, shoring up the living situation, he begins kind of cautiously making his way around the settlement and just politely observing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from his past, he's familiar with visiting other settlements, even those that weren't necessarily as friendly. So he's used to don't necessarily make eye contact unless they approach you and go to speak to you. But don't hunch, because that's a sign of weakness. Walk tallly, proudly, but not threateningly. And so he's being conscious of this. And he is trying to observe ways that he might be able to help in the way of husbandry or horsemanship or what have you. So that's what he's looking for, is ways that he can be of assistance.
In the realm of husbandry, they have mostly sheep and goats, like a handful of pigs. They have 2 cows that offer up their milk, and 3 horses. Aside from that rather large flock of sheep, that's about all the livestock that they've got here. One bad raid later, and they will have nothing. However, that lamb has been following you around and bleeding at you this entire time.
I would imagine that it actually is lifted his spirits somewhat, like a puppy following you. You just sort of, every now and again, you giggle at it, or at that moment it does something silly and breaks out and makes. Yep. So, I approach the cautiously. I approach the pen of horses, and at first I'm being very polite and just, but approaching because I'm feeling that longing, and I would imagine that I'm leaning against the pen for some time, watching them. taking in the behavior of the horses, and
They're a little skittish of you as you're new.
right. So I probably need a husbandry role to try to show them that I am friendly. That's not bad. So I got a 10.
Okay. Yeah, they'll warm up to you after a few minutes. One of the stallions there, kind of a young, young-ish horse, and just old enough not to be considered a foal anymore, gets a little too friendly and headbutts you.
At first, it takes me off guard, but then I probably fall back and look back up, and laughter as I've got kind of a goose egg forming on my forehead. Aren't you just a cock?
You're the village. It's well known by now that you're a shaman of one of their local deities, so they're kind of not paying attention to you. They're more concerned with the fair folk and what they consider to be the leech.
So I approach the stallion and give it the appropriate cuff to remind it that of who its masters are.
Mm-hmm.
Not, you know what I mean? It's just reminding them that, hey, we can have a relationship here, but that's not how we're going to treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That would be, at this point, this would be Beastcraft. So what you're going to be doing is you can roll your dice, and since you have a +2 to it, add your +2.
Okay. I didn't know I took Beastcraft, but
You have Wild Lore and Husbandry. That's a
I gotcha.
tertiary skill
Okay.
that you need at least one rank of both of those to get the third one.
So I got a 13.
13. Yeah, it
One explosion.
okay. Yeah, he listens. He minds you.
All right, and I give him a good scratch behind the head and kind of pinch off some of the one of the probably not onion, radish. I think horses can eat radish, right? I give him a little bit of bread.
Oh, okay.
A little pinch of the bread to that we're friendly, and then I notice the other two kind of seeing that there's food, so I give them a little bit to them, and
Yeah, you're friends now. You gave.
They appear to be in good health.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they treat them well.
It's a village-like home, but it's a different culture. But these horses are fed as well as they can be.
Okay.
One of which is more athletic than the other two. The one that headbutts you is more or less a plow horse. Or when he is old enough, he will be used as a plow horse.
Okay. And that conversation ability is only available to me and my mare, right?
Yeah, the one that you have
the
a
bond.
special
Okay.
connection with.
Okay. So, the stallion seems to have taken an extra liking to me, so I end up and I put my forehead to its forehead and just sort of say a blessing for him, but also the other two horses as I'm, running my hand across and then I just could sort of look up at the sky and to allow the dampness in my eyes to recede back into my oculars as I begin walking along again. And at this point, while I'm walking along, I notice like a wood pile that's fallen astray, and I just take the opportunity to start piling it back just out of habit to be neat and tidy. And sort of absent-mindedly, and begin. So I've made a circuit of the settlement and not avoided contact with people unless they seem to be totally, they don't want to be around you.
No, they're
but-
they're a lot more friendly with you than your two companions.
okay. So
Maybe
then,
there's a little bit too much prejudice there, but yeah.
so I then I will approach someone to talk to then. Maybe it's probably in the afternoon now, so
It's
for a
getting on
person.
close to dusk at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. So I would imagine that I come across I don't approach a female because that might be taken like I'm trying to encroach upon someone. So I just find an older gentleman that is tending or maybe going to his homestead or something. Hail, well met.
He replies. He's sitting on a bench, peeling the bark off of a branch that he's eventually going to be turning into a bow. He looks up and he smiles and says, "Well met to you, priest."
How fare you today?
It's a bit cold for my old bones. My knees are not as youthful as they once were. But all is well.
Yeah.
All is calm. Are you the shaman who travels with that vampire? How do you find it in your heart to travel with such a thing?
I am the shaman that travels with the half-blood, and I will speak to that. I have found this man to be very intelligent and thoughtful, and, well, you accuse him of being a bloodsucker. Well, he also makes it a point to only drink of the blood of those animals that have been slaughtered. So, I have spoken deeply with him. I have a background in these types of things to some degree. I've learned some things on my travels, and I feel that I can trust him. Agiun's blessing, I prayed on it, and even my mayor, and he kind of stops for a second. Even my mayor is somewhat fond of him. So I would urge you not to embrace him with both arms, but don't judge a book by its cover, as they say. Judge their heart.
What is what is a book? What is this?
Writing, the written word.
This is a collection of the letters that one tells stories with.
Yes, I apologize for speaking too flippantly. Not all breeds are as strong as the other, but the flock is worthy of life, if this makes sense to you.
Do they have many books where you come from?
Not from where my herd hails from.
Do you have many vampires where you come from? I
No.
would hope not.
No, we struggle with a different sickness and an affliction on the tundra. We have I don't know if the word carries over, but we call it Ma-De. And what it means is darkness. But they are outcasts or groups that grow and bloodthirsty savages, but not necessarily like a vampire. They are afflicted with the darkness. They carry it with them and embrace it. these are the tribes that my uncle and I fought, and my uncle lost his life too. But
That is quite disquieting. The only darkness that we have here is the vampires. Some that reside in a village. Well, it's a village much larger than ours, but they have houses and a temple, and some of the people there call it a small keep there. Beyond that, there is a place called Ender's Defile, which is a terrible cursed place.
you are at war with these people.
No, not at war, but they don't
pretty-
mind us. We have no business with them, and they have no business with us, so we leave each other alone. When I was a young warrior, I had been to this village, but I had not been back in quite so many cycles.
So there's danger, but they are not unwelcoming to you.
If you have a good blade on your hip, then you should be fine.
Yeah, and almost instinctively, Tane goes to reach for his hip and then just kind of looks kind of crestfallen for a second, like he is unarmed and he feels it. Good father, may I mean it with the best of gestures, but might I inspect your limbs to see how I might offer assistance?
Kind of with he gets to his feet. He's riddled with rheumatism, and he rests his work, that bow, down, and he stands before you, a little shaky in the hands, as you kind of get the feeling that, yeah, this guy was an athlete, but that was like when Christ was in the cradle. But
all right, so I'm gonna give him like a physical
that would
with
be
an apothecary roll. So I got
Yep.
a 12.
12, yeah, he's got arthritis to the nines, but besides that, he's not malnourished. The village seems to take very good care of its old people, and he eats well. He gets the exercise that he requires to maintain his decrepit but healthy frame.
You are taking the root of the. Are you treating this
I am.
malady of
I
aches?
am.
Okay, good.
The babushka brings me my tea every day.
Very good, very good. So she has it well in hand. But you appear to have been quite the athletic man in your day, and you have not lost all of that. And I kind of wink at him like, you're still got the athleticism.
And he just kind of smiles, kind of beams at you, and says, "Yes, when my wife was alive, we had many children, and we had many warriors. I was one of them, but that was some time ago."
Yes, the older we get, the more we say goodbye. It is. The gods are fickle sometimes, and I mean of no disrespect. They just sometimes we feel like we're playthings in their game, but we do our best and live the life we can. And it appears you have done that, and commending to you. This is to your long life, and I thank you for your time. And he kind of gives him a polite nod. By the way, I'm Tane, and he reaches out to shake his hand.
he replies with, "I am Torok."
Well met, Torok. I will see to some warmth and some food.
Go with the wind, shaman. Happy day to you. He sits back down and goes back
Thank
to
you.
his wood carving.
He kind of smiles to himself as he takes the notice of feeling at home and at least the shared faith as he strides back to the passable structure that they're going to call home for the time being. Probably as he sees, well, you two weren't coming back, right? As of yet.
They're already home by the time you come back.
So I come walking in there with,
And
I mean, I don't look
that,
jolly or anything, but I do look like I have somewhat of a smile on my face.
and Fern has dinner ready for you.
Nice little meatless stew going, bubbling cheerfully over the fire. He looks up, the light sort of illuminating for him from below. And he says, he tilts his head and says, "You seem to have had a nice day. There's vampires outside, by the way."
And he kind of looks like he just got like patted on the shoulder and then slapped in the same movement. So he's what?
Oh, and it had mushrooms growing in its face. It was really disgusting. Black fangs and just crying black tears. Definitely shadow corrupted. Down by the river, we probably watching tonight. Can you actually light me two torches?
I would like to point out that those 5 things that were said were just Tane hasn't been in the house for more than 30 seconds, and you've already said 300 words to him.
Yes.
It's like an assault of words all at once. Like, oh, there's a threat just outside the settlement here. Wow. So what's in the stew? He kind of says sarcastically.
There's some apples. There's some turnips. You've got some of these cucumbers.
He looks over at Thorn like
berries,
and he shrugs like, "Wow, mushrooms."
Yeah.
Yes.
Mushrooms. And I think this is after he's calmed down a little bit. Just think about that.
Let that wash over you.
Oh, also, he didn't seem to be able to actually go through the water, or for some reason it gave him pause. I saw his foot touch the water and he backed up and didn't follow us. Very interesting fact. He turns around and actually pulls out one of his tablets and starts looking. I forgot to put that on there. Gets his stylus and starts recording it.
You're going to have to start writing in the margins because...
I think give him another notebook here soon.
Or else selling yourself down in the alleys for a copper a piece. Get yourself some more.
Speaking of alleys, you know they don't know what gutters are here?
Oh, did you tell them the whole story? Did you give them a sit down and have a hold court?
I summarized.
Vern, you're going to scare the hell out of these people.
Yeah, I know. They just can't seem to get back past the fact that he points his teeth.
Yes. It's hard to get past it. You know, we can pull those out.
I'm afraid they grow back. Besides, that would actually hurt. I don't like hurt in my mouth.
Well, we can make sure that Emerus and I make sure that you're not awake for it. It's just a thought, you know. Think on it, mull on it.
He thinks
I'm
about
pretty
it.
sure him losing his teeth will make him feel about how you feel right now not having your horse. Do you really want to do it to 2 people of the party?
Valid. That's a valid complaint.
I'll look at Thorn and say, but I don't talk to my teeth. Oh, I get
I
what you
mean,
mean.
are
Yes,
you
I
sure?
understand.
Are
Yes.
you sure? I'm just
No,
saying.
you're fine.
Someday.
It took a moment. I'm sorry.
Shots.
Are you saying that
fired.
my horse is not intelligent?
No, he's saying his teeth aren't.
Yeah, my teeth definitely are not intelligent.
This is true. But that babushka definitely was looking a gift horse in the mouth as he takes a big scoop of the stew that he made.
Let me roll for it. Let me roll for it.
Do it. Send it. Is Fern Elias really familiar with that idiom?
10. Which idiom? Looking to really gift horse in the mouth?
Yeah.
Probably not. So he looks up after and said 10 on the provisioning, so it's a passable stew. He looks up and says, "Who gave her a horse? And why did she look at his mouth? And why? Is it a vampire horse?
Dear Lord.
Or was she just taking this? Or do they think that horses can be vampires? So
Fern.
you just have to inspect the teeth.
Fern,
I mean, that's insane.
come back to the ground. You're
I
flying
am.
away from us. Your thoughts are going to the sky.
He looks deadpan directly at 10 and says, "I can't fly." Just so you
Okay.
know.
The lamb bleats in your lap.
My lap or his? Oh yeah, my lap or his lap.
It's in Fern Elias's lap. You did not
He
notice
strokes it.
that a sheep had just occupied your lap.
Yeah. He pets. He says, "It's okay, then." And he named it.
Oh my God, he named it.
Yes.
So
In,
we have been given a task, a chore, a job to do. We are sellswords in some sort of endeavor here.
Yes, we're to guard
What?
the. Well, we,
Go on.
me, I point to Thorn and myself. We're to guard the wall tonight. We need 2 torches.
No, I meant bigger. What did Farron give us to do?
For
What are we
us,
supposed to be? Yeah, him. He's
I
so
think-
close. It sticks in my head. There was an older man in the village that I came from named Farron.
I understand. So very similar name structure. They might actually be from the same culture. He thinks about it for a second. He says, "That's not really important right now."
No.
Yeah, well, as far as the task he originally gave us, he was hiring us to, I think, go and aid him. I know he hired Thorn to perform for him once he got to his home or wherever it was. And then the other 2, I think, I'm not sure what we were supposed to be doing. Just they say, "Come along for an adventure." So I guess this is, I did an adventure leaving us there in the middle of the wilderness. And he pet Skin one more time, sort of strokes the wool. And he says, "So I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing here. I guess we can protect these people here, definitely." So, but I'll definitely need 2 torches because I can try to make torches myself, but you saw how the fire went earlier.
Let me finish eating.
Definitely.
But it sounds like we need to address this threat of the ragman.
I think so too. Yes. Yes. Although I am putting in my notes to I'm calling them mushroom men here for some reason. So
Well,
country ragmen, if you will.
Oh, okay. That makes it more confusing.
Just more specific.
More specific, you're broadening the definition of the ragman.
Well, ragmen apparently live in cities in the gutters. These live in the wilderness and have mushrooms growing upon them. So if we're to call them ragmen, technically they're not really ragmen. They're mushroom men.
Semantics.
Very important thing, semantics.
Amherst, what did you find out?
All I know is that thing was quite freaky to look at.
Are you both okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
Yes, no.
As Fern mentioned, when we backed away, it tried coming across the river, but it stopped at the edge after putting its feet in. So I'm hoping that means it can't cross running water. Because if it can, we're all probably in a world of hurt. If it can't, we probably have a little bit of time. I don't know the landscape of the world, so I don't know how close it is to the nearest land bridge or edge of the river as it is. So, but most of the day I've actually been with Fern Laius. I'm actually the one that got us the job doing the water as well as the watch. And we went over and talked to the babushka. Babushka seems to mind Fern a little bit better now. Just a little bit.
Little bit. Well, I came across Torak. I met a village elder, and he was a blessing to share words with and learn of his past and what little he was. It was a gift of what he shared, but I guess there is a larger city. The way he described it, maybe like Felport, like Keep, I think he called it, which they're not unwelcome to visitors, but he said that there are many like Farad there.
Yeah, I was told that they have more enemies than friends out in these parts.
Make you want to either become a ambassador or a traveler, one.
I like being a traveler.
Aye, you learn a lot.
Fern Laius looks up after doing his notes and says, "Do you think Farad left us here hoping we would die? Thinking that these villagers, because of what I am, might react, well, if that's what they have to deal with regularly, react in a very predictable manner and kill myself and the two of you because of your association with me?"
I'm inclined to say no, because why would he go through the trouble of getting us on the boat, getting us over here, giving us a job, and then leaving us to die?
It does seem confusing to me too.
He did say that they don't trust us yet, just like these people don't trust us yet. So
I wouldn't die.
maybe it's right. So maybe it's a test. If we survive and we get out of here, maybe we'll see him again. If we're going to split hairs and think about the other side of this mindset, maybe we're here to see what the defenses are, and he actually knows exactly where we are, and he's going to try to do a raid. Don't know.
Well, what if
It could be that big of a brick.
That's confirmed, but what about Feta?
Yes,
Feta?
Feta. I was just thinking about her.
I was going to go talk to her later, but haven't gotten a chance to yet. So
Maybe we should do that now.
how long do we have until you think the watch is going to come for us?
It's not dusk yet, so
So
you've got a few hours of daylight.
Now would be the time to do it. Let her get some rest, one of the two. But if she scampers off before sunset and meets with that thing down by the river, I'm not sure how. It beckoned me to come speak with it, but maybe it was waiting for her. Maybe she's passing on information about what they have here.
Well, I'm not putting it past her. She's a spy of some sort, because what are the odds that someone we saw in the previous town would be here when we got here? So
True. Very.
yeah, I think we need to go talk to her, especially because she seemed a little off kilter after realizing we were here.
Been embarrassed and a bit fearful, both.
So maybe they were anticipating at least one was being shot. I don't know.
True.
The mind is a wondering.
That it is.
It doesn't seem to be adding up. She seems
No.
to be, I think they call it a fly in the ointment. But
Oh, I remember this one. A burr under the saddle. Yes? Isn't that one of the things you said
very
once?
good. Yes, yes.
I thought I remembered that correctly.
Well done, friend. Well done. There's
But still, I'm still stuck on this though. How would someone look at a horse's mouth?
so when you inspect the mouth, the teeth, what can you tell from inspecting someone's teeth, my friend?
If they're a vampire or not?
Okay, valid. But what I'm getting at is you can inspect their mouth and see what kind of health they're in.
Oh, okay.
So if you are gifted a living animal and you open its mouth in front of the giftee, the person presenting you the gift, it is an insult to that person because you're instead of accepting the gift graciously, you're saying you're going to inspect its worth directly in front of them. It's an insult. Makes sense?
Yes, it is. It does make sense. It's like if someone gives you a gift of a gold coin and you bite it. So it's like it's very similar to the saying of "Don't bite the gift coin." Okay, that somewhat makes sense to me. But you can also tell they're a vampire or not too at the same time. So
that makes sense to me, but not the biting of the coin thing that you just did.
Well, when you bite a coin and it's properly gold or silver, you actually
at this point, Tane is he's just eating the stew.
Listen, Fernleus is going to go into the all the different dentation that you'll get from different qualities of coin. So that'll probably go on until someone stops him. Just so you know.
So I as he finishes the bowl and sets it down, and I would imagine Fernleus is still going on. He kind of looks over.
We're at Topper now.
Right. He looks over at Amorous and says, "Your lute, maybe a light strumming song as we make our way, so that it kind of lifts the spirits, or maybe, you know."
Fernleus will trail off at that.
We can do that.
Okay.
Fernleus, what do you feel like singing today?
So today, I don't know. He puts away his he takes his tablet and caps it and puts it back in his bag. And he sits back, he thinks a bit, and he says, "This is one that's actually from your. It's an old song, but it is a song. I think it's of your people." And with a song rating of a 16, he begins singing a song about a maiden and a deer.
Attaboy.
Damn.
Thank God he didn't suggest a song about vampires.
So just to make sure I got skill checks right, we add in the stat modifier, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a plus
Die
10
modifier.
to song.
Yeah, dude. That's how it's supposed to be.
I got a 35 on a song check.
Yeah, mine's a +6.
Wow. Well, all right. Well, you can play the pants off of a convent of nuns if there
Too bad
was a
there's no
convent of
right now.
nuns to hear you.
Suddenly, over the hill comes a whole convent of nuns.
Naughty Zoot. We'll give her a spanking. Right.
Actually, no. As I bring it out, I start to tune it up as the Tane is talking about me playing, and I ask Fern what he wants to sing. Tane, are you done eating, or are you still munching away? While you're asking me to play.
Oh, no, actually, Fern had just broken into this long lecture of coins and testing them with your teeth, he had made haste of eating the stew and set it down as he was setting it down, he asked if you'd like to play while we walk, and was inviting you guys to go for a walk.
So we said the same mindset, play while I walk. So yeah, as I'm tuning and I ask what we're going to sing about, I'll actually walk out and look for her and anyone else around, and then I will break into tune of the song that Fernleas was talking about us doing, and we will play, walk, and talk.
And I'm not really singing anything because that's their gig, so I'm
Yeah,
just
just-
enjoying it.
You're not going to play drums again? Come on.
No.
So you, Fita is for the day. She has ended her slaving over this horsehide. And you can smell her before you see her. She reeks of that those tannin chemicals, and
Probably brains.
yep, grains and a bit of tree bark kind of mixed in there. It's kind of like stained like the front of her dress. She's kind of wearing like a long tea tunic dress gown kind of thing that kind of woven out of some rough linen. It's kind of dyed a kind of a muted brown. She sees you guys coming up, and she kind of like takes her pinky and kind of like moves her dark, almost Mediterranean hair out of her face, and she's got a bit of that smudge on her face, kind of like mixing in with her freckles there. And she goes, "Well, good evening, boys." And again, her accent is thick with the Western tongue.
Pause the singing as I'm finishing the song there and take a breath, and I say, "Good evening."
I was wondering when you lot were going to turn up. We, from the caravan, thought you disappeared.
You thought we disappeared?
Yes, I did. Everyone else did too. But yeah.
Premonition check.
19 on the
Yeah.
premonition check.
Oh, yeah.
We thought you disappeared. I call so much bullshit.
Fat chance, woman.
25.
20. Oh.
Yeah, my premonition roll is where are we looking at? I'm getting to it. Why am I blind? Okay, 12. Not as high as these two jokers, but
Yeah, she goes, no, yeah, I thought you disappeared, and some of the other women from the ship, we were speaking before you left. Yeah. Serious as a heart attack,
so she seems believable.
as far as you're aware. Yeah.
What about these two?
We were put to sleep to conceal our destination. The last I heard, it woke up in the field, a few hours walk from here.
Right. Yes, we all were, from what I understand.
You all woke up in the field a few hours walk from here.
No, it's only you three and maybe 4 or 7 others that I have spoken to since I came here to this village, which was 14 days ago. A chain and a half.
How long were we asleep for?
I don't know.
Apparently, for at least 14 days.
Have you seen my mare?
I've not seen her. Last I checked, she was hitched to one of the wagons that was pulling our train, and then the vampire Farad said something, and we fell asleep.
You know where they ended up?
No, there are. I know that there are 6 in the next village down the road.
And that is south of us, southwest of us.
Southwest, and the road bends.
So that's where my mare is.
Maybe. I hope. Well, she was a nice horse.
Yes.
Oh, are you? She kind of like hikes up her dress a little bit, and you actually see on her left ankle there is a silver and ebon anklet. Do you have these too? Because the other girls do.
I'll check. I haven't looked at my ankles yet.
Yeah, Fernaleus has a matching anklet.
Oh, marvelous. Apparently I do.
Same with us.
Yep.
Is it outside of our boots or inside?
No, it's inside.
Fernleus will sit down right there, pull his boot off, and start looking at this thing, looking for a clasp.
Does not have a clasp that you can find. I woke up with this on.
We did as well, apparently. We're doing a occult insight check on this thing. $24.
24.
Yes.
Ooh.
Green guys love me tonight.
What you can piece together from the runes on the inside of the band, you actually can't like slip this thing off past your heel.
Okay.
You can see that it is, to your eye, and from everything that you have learned from Nephthys, these are powerful bind runes.
Now I will be thinking out loud as I'm looking at this thing, sort of analyzing. These runes are for binding. It could be binding the anklet together, or it could be binding us to a location or a thing. I don't know.
The old man, one of the village elder, Torak, kind of like hobbles over on his cane, and he says, "Vita, are you finished with that hide?" And he sees Tane. He says, "Oh, hello, shaman." He says, "Oh,
Hello again, Torak.
You see, you seem to have noticed your anklets." Oh, yes, he bends over and he kind of like pulls his pant leg up. Yeah, he's got one too.
What are the significance of these anklets? Do you know?
Well, when we all came here, we are all wearing them. That's all I know.
So you're not native to this land?
No. I was
Why are
brought
we
here
here?
when I was very young by an auburn-haired vampire.
They're the color of flame?
Deeply, but yes.
Fernleus reaches over into his pouch and pulls out his last wax tablet that hasn't been written on, opens it up, pulls out his style, says, "Can you describe him for me?"
Well, he goes on to describe the anklet, really, what he knows of the anklets. They're made of silver and ebon and set with a couple jet stones. The vampire that took him here, he basically said he had a short beard, almost like he'd shaved and there was growth, but he wore his hair long, in a ponytail, and his fingernails were blackened almost as if he was very sick. But that's all I remember. But he was a vampire, so they almost always look the same.
Thank you. He finishes writing up his notes. He just starts pondering.
It just gets more interesting as we learn more. You've never tried to leave?
No, I do not believe so. If I have, I do not remember.
How much do you remember?
I remember being a lad and living here, as well as, like I said, some time in the other village down the road. I don't remember much of my childhood, but
That's common. As we get older, we start to lose those things. Well, we've got this beautiful bracelet. We could be, well, nothing witty is coming to mind. We all match, though, to a certain degree.
yes, Torak just he inspects Fita's work, and then she kind of like goes over it. Is this how you want this done? My people do it this way, but with mammoth hides. It's much thicker, much more hair. And he approves, and he goes back inside probably to go take a nap. And Fita just kind of like awkwardly looks at you guys like, I woke up in a ditch with this thing on.
We're on the side of a hill.
Yeah. Interesting.
Renlaeus's mind begins to contemplate ideas. And he says, by the way, this is the 22 on just a general lore test. He says, Nephthys once told me that the great kings of the desert where he comes from keep what do you call a menagerie? Different animals from different places. These great kings like displaying their greatness with things we can see, and often they would put a mark upon the animal or a kind of a harness around their neck that marked that it's theirs. Could this be the same kind of possibility, you think? Maybe we are marked as Farrads.
Fita kind of interrupts your line of logic, and she goes, I don't think it's Farad we have to worry about.
The one he answers to?
Well, he answered to Ormond when we were... he was the mortal.
Or you're saying Farad is not
in charge?
He never was in charge.
That's more and more interesting. So Ormond is the Aedra. pops into Fernleus's head. The name sort of pops out. Adra.
From what I understand, Adra lives in a town called Royston, and that's just a short way down from our village.
That's the one southwest of us.
I think. Maybe there's another one. I have not traveled this far.
Then we'll have to speak with her, I'm assuming, then to have this removed. There's definitely been a misunderstanding as we're hired, not purchased.
I
With
think
that,
we need to head south.
I think so too, but definitely not as the sun is setting.
No, not. That would be unwise with mushroom ragmen about. They're still ragmen.
Just
Yes.
mushroom men.
They're ragmen.
Fitz just looks on and then Fern and says, they're ragmen.
See, the child speaks truth.
Semantics is very important.
Keep in mind, she's like all of 17 cycles old. So, yeah, she's... No.
Either way, they prowl the night, I know, so.
But you may call them mushroom men.
Yes, because that's what they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're reported as such. But yes, I think we need. I do know that we were told that we would be helping to man the walls tonight, and the sun's going to get a bit low, so maybe we should
It's
prepare
some
ourselves
torches.
for. Yes, torches.
Yes,
Very important.
torches.
Torches.
I'm glad you volunteered me for that.
Well, you do. You make such a wonderful fire.
So I go about gathering up. How many did you need?
I was told just 2.
Okay, so I make 3 of them, and just in case, and I light them from the fire in our hovel, and hand them over to them. One unlit, the other 2 lit.
With that, as the 2 volunteer watchmen, you mount the palisade. They've got kind of a catwalk that kind of circles the village there on the inside. We will go for closing soliloquies here. Is Tane actually joining them for the watch, or no?
I would imagine that he's going to help them with the watch. So
Okay. As soon as you climb up the ladder, that poor lamb sits down at the bottom of this ladder and bleats at you needily.
can I make a roll to calm the lamb? I guess.
You can try.
Let her know that we'll be there. That's a 7. So
Yeah,
I think I'm going to be watching from down here. So I'm there in spirit, but I'm also kind of checking the gate and stuff like that. So I'm helping them, but maybe we rotate. That's what it is.
Okay. So as you're standing at the gate, either with a lamb at your feet or holding the poor thing, give us your soliloquy for the evening. What has transpired in your mind today?
So as dusk is setting and the sun fades, what little sun we did have, the wind kind of kicks up a little bit, and the scent of the horses kind of wash over him, and for a moment he's closing his eyes as he's feeling the fur of the lamb. and just says a prayer to Agyun to continue to watch over his companion. He will be there. And as he looks over at his friends and looks over at Fernaleus, and he's like, he's being too hard on himself. I need to boost his spirits. This is not how a friend behaves towards another friend. I will work on that. As he kind of steps over and just kind of grips him on the shoulder like a friendly, and doing so, he continues that walk across the wall to, as this lamb bumps and muddles, as I try to keep it from falling off the edge here. And he does the same to Amorous and says, we're in something together, but I believe that the three of us can figure this out. What other choice do we have? In the end, we will be smarter for it. As he thinks back on his uncle's voice echoing his head, and that he knows that his fate is not, he feels that his fate is not here. And his uncle always told him that you can't escape fate. So he hangs his hopes on that and releases his spirit to Agyun to protect them and his mare as he looks out over the wall.
And with that, we will go to Amorous Thorn as you, as your friend makes sure it reaches the arm mark, make sure that you don't fall off the edge of the palisade there. What occupies the Fae's mind?
For once, the music is silent. Upon seeing that anklet, hearing what has transpired, I actually had Amorous do a self-control check. Luckily, it actually wound up rolling double eights again, so I got lucky. Because in his mind, they were deceived. They were told things that were not how it was supposed to be. And he feels betrayed and like he got forced into it. To any lesser of a mind, that would be seen as a form of slavery. And Amorous doesn't take well to slavery. He took decent enough when they first took the girls, because he was told the girls are going to be in a better place. And from what he saw, that was what was transpiring. Seeing that anklet, he about walked out of the village and started going south. But luckily he maintained, because he has a job to do. His loot got put on his back as soon as that anklet was found, and has not come back off. And it probably won't, at least for the night. So at the moment, Amorous is ready to split a skull open, or at least get answers in any way necessary. He's going to do this job. He's not going to make himself do something stupid. He's not going to go off and do something suicidal. But he wants this taken care of now. And when Payne puts his hand on his shoulder and does his little speech, Amorous just kind of nods, but he's not really paying attention yet.
Beautifully said. Fernaleus bringing up the rear. What occupies the thoughts of the Dhampir in these quiet moments?
Well, his chain reaches out and squeezes his shoulder in a companionly way. He looks over at him, and a pang of regret runs through him because he still thinks to himself he got his friends into this. His search for knowledge about his parentage drugged them along into this, and he may have gotten them into a worse situation than he could ever imagine. But he still takes the moment seriously. He hands Tane the lit torch, keeping the unlit one for himself because with his eyes, he does not need a torch to see at night. In fact, it's better if he doesn't have one. He weighs the thing in his hand, thinking a poor substitute for his falchion that's somewhere in the village. And he wished he had it by his side. And that thought takes him back to a time in his past where he was sparring with his mentor, with Nephthys. And it was a time when he had just begun the practice of the blade, and they were sparring with wooden blades, and he was cracked a good welt across his back for not guarding properly. And as he rolled his shoulder and looked at his master, that youthful sort of resentment came into his eyes. He says, "Why in the world would a scholar, a seeker of knowledge, need to fight? Why would I need to learn a blade?" And he looked, and Nephthys looked at me and he said, "Fernaleus, every war is won not by a blade, but by your mind. If you know your enemy, you know yourself. You need not fear 100 battles. But if you know yourself but not your enemy, every victory you gain will also be a defeat. And if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will fall in every battle. Knowledge is the paramount weapon in war. But no matter how sharp your tongue or quick your wit, it will not block the blade of a raider who happens to want whatever is in your pouch upon the road. Thus, we know we need to defend ourselves. So stand up, hold that blade up, and stop whining." And Fernaleus stands, looks at his master, and his mind fades from the memory back to the wall. He looks out into the countryside as the sun, though never truly high in the sky, begins to kiss the horizon. And he thinks, my tongue is sharp, my wits are with me and quick, but all I have is a stick and my shield. My shield. So at least if it attacks me, I'll be defended. Looks to his friends, knowing they don't have their weapons either, and he thinks, I hope we don't become sacrificed tonight. He takes his place and does his duty.
As the stage lights fade from that scene, we find ourselves somewhere else on the field. And we have a decrepit horror clad with mushrooms and rags crawling through the tall grass, picking its predatory way towards the village that our adventurers inhabit. But it is just within in earshot as something worse comes upon it, and there is a shriek, a rasping shriek that echoes across the fields There's sounds of struggle out in the tall grass. Beyond the torchlight, the shielding torchlight of the village, and the crack of a few bones. And we see a hand, almost like a manicured, graceful, beautiful hand, seize the head of this mushroom covered, this horrible ragman, and we hear the ripping, the popping, and the tearing of flesh as its head is torn clean. There's just silence, deafening, painful silence. And as our group passes just over the gatehouse, a head thuds into the mud and rolls just into the torchlight. And we will close the session there for the evening. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will be back here next week, same time, same bat channel. Be there or be a parallelogram, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.